So now that we have some indication of how a firm's costs change as it produces more output, let's return to our initial question, and that is, how much output should a competitive firm produce? We already see that a competitive firm does not have any choice over the market price that it can charge, and in this graph we see that the price that this firm can charge is equal to $3. That's the price that is determined in the market for orange juice. So this firm wants to maximize profits, and the optimal thing for this firm to do is to produce output as long as the marginal revenue from a unit of output, and the marginal revenue is given by the demand curve in a competitive market. So produce as long as the marginal revenue is at least enough to cover the marginal cost of production. Because anytime the marginal revenue exceeds the marginal cost of production, the firm is making some marginal profit. So here we can see as long as that demand or marginal revenue curve is above the marginal cost curve, the firm should continue to produce. Even if you're looking at only a penny of marginal profit. The firm should not produce if the marginal cost of producing another unit exceeds the marginal revenue. And so we see that is true for these points where the marginal cost curve lies above the marginal revenue curve. So ultimately, where the firm will maximize its profit is by producing at this point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. And so we'll refer to this as Q star. This is the profit maximizing quantity of output. This is the rate of output that will maximize the firm's profits. And to illustrate this, let's just build a little table and see why this is so. So I'm just going to make up some numbers here, and we're going to look at this firm's marginal revenue and marginal cost for various quantities of output. We're also going to assume that the firm faces, let's say, fixed cost of $10, and our ultimate goal is to try and maximize this firm's profit. So let's suppose that here we have this column for profit, and we'll show how you can calculate profit by looking at the marginals and ultimately deciding how much should be produced. So let's put in some quantities here. Let's go quantity 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And marginal revenue, no matter how much this firm produces, the marginal revenue that it will see is given by the market price of $3. So we're going to go ahead and put in marginal revenue of $3. The marginal costs for this firm initially decrease and then they increase. And so can't define it for this initial unit, and in fact technically there is no marginal revenue if we don't produce anything, so let's be mathematically correct and say that one's undefined. I'm going to make up some marginal cost numbers. Let's suppose this is marginal cost goes from 2 to 1 to 2, 3, let's say 5. Okay? Fixed cost never changes. Fixed cost is always $10 no matter how many units we produce. Now I don't have a variable cost column in here, but that's no big deal because we know variable costs are related to fixed costs. So let's go ahead and look here. If we don't produce any output, then we're going to be $10 in the hole. If we produce the first unit and the marginal revenue covers the marginal cost, that means we have, and I'll include one more column over here, a marginal profit of $1. just off that one unit, we made $1 worth of profit. Well, that's $1 that we can apply to the current loss that we had before we even started production. So if you will, we now have $1 that we can use to reduce our fixed cost from 10 to 9. I shouldn't say reduce our fixed cost, to reduce our loss from $10 to $9. If we produce a second unit, we're going to get another $3 for it. The marginal cost is 1. That would give me a marginal profit of $2. So if I have $2 here, I can use that to apply to my current loss. So instead of being $9 in the hole, I'll only be $7 in the hole. And once again, if I produce the third unit, I'm going to get another $3. It's only going to cost me another $2 to produce it. And so that will give me a marginal profit of 1. And I am now only $6 in the hole. And if I produce a fourth unit, get another $3 for it, costs me another $3 to make it. There's no marginal profit. That will leave me just where I was with the third unit. This is a case where technically you're indifferent, right? If I produce the fourth unit, I'm going to get enough revenue to cover my extra costs, and that would leave me just as well off as if I didn't produce the fourth unit. We will assume when indifferent you would produce. So up to this point, we see that as long as the marginal revenue is greater than the marginal cost, I'm minimizing my losses. Now, when I get to the fifth unit, notice that the marginal cost exceeds the marginal revenue. If I do sell that fifth unit, I'm going to have a marginal loss of $2. My costs, marginal cost exceeds my marginal revenue by $2, so my profits are going to dip by $2. And as a result, I see that I am actually worse off by producing the fifth unit. I actually could have minimized, what we call minimize our losses, by only producing 4 units. So in this particular case, notice that I'm not turning a profit. But at this point, where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, the optimal quantity is 4 units. Notice I have a choice. I could have chosen not to produce anything. If I didn't produce anything, though, I would be down $10. I'd rather be down 6 than to be down 10. So my profit maximizing quantity is going to occur where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Now, it's not always true that I'll make a loss. That's just what happened to work out in this particular example. If I had changed my fixed costs so that they were only $1, and that's a good exercise for you to do, redo this with a fixed cost of $1, you'll see that the firm would actually turn a profit.